All right, let's just dive right in. Artificial intelligence. It's already one of the most powerful technologies we've ever built, right? It's changing our world as we speak. But here's the thing. Under the hood, past all the hype, there are these huge, profound questions that we haven't even begun to answer. And we have to explore them.
I mean, you see it everywhere. AI is already making a massive mark. We're talking about healthcare, where it's helping doctors spot diseases way earlier, even speeding up how we develop new vaccines. And then there's transportation. It's literally the brain behind self-driving cars, figuring out our messy, complicated world in real time. It's incredible stuff.
Okay, but this is exactly where things get, well, complicated. The better these systems get, the more pressing the questions become. And we're not just talking about little technical puzzles for engineers to solve. Nope, we're talking about fundamental questions that hit at the very core of control, consciousness, how we govern ourselves, and what our economic future even looks like. And that brings us right to our first huge, unanswered question. Let's call it the question of existential control. Simply put, can we actually keep a handle on a technology that could one day be way, way smarter than we are?
So the big idea here is something called artificial superintelligence, or ASI. And let's be clear, this isn't just a slightly smarter Siri. We're talking about a hypothetical agent, an intelligence so advanced it would blow past the brightest human minds in basically every field you can imagine. Science, art, you name it. It would just completely exceed our ability to even comprehend it.
This quote right here just hits the nail on the head. Designing a nuclear reactor with no containment plan? Wow. That's the paradox we're living in. Everybody's in this mad dash to build the most powerful intelligence imaginable, but the safety plan, the containment strategy, it feels like an afterthought. It's a huge gamble that we can figure all that out later.
And look, that's not just hyperbole. As of right now, there is no working operational blueprint for how to constrain a superintelligence once it's beyond our understanding. The problem isn't just technical. It's not just about code. It's institutional. We don't even have a shared, enforceable definition of what AI safety is supposed to look like.
Which brings up the ultimate power struggle, right? Who will control the controllers? I mean, even if we could design some kind of off switch, who gets their finger on the button? Will the rules be written by scientists working in the open? Or will it be a handful of giant corporations or governments? That right there is maybe the biggest unanswered question of all.
All right, so from external control, let's pivot to a deep internal mystery for our second question. It's all about cognition. Does AI actually understand anything? Or is it just the world's most sophisticated parrot? This really breaks it down perfectly. On one side, you've got the machine. It's got statistical competence. It's got semantic fluency. It knows which words are supposed to follow other words. But on the other side, that's us, that subjective consciousness, that inner world, that phenomenological experience, the actual feeling of getting it. Just think about this for a second. An AI can spit out a poem about heartbreak that'll make you tear up. It can write a perfect paragraph explaining empathy, but does it feel loss? Does it have any clue what empathy is on the inside? Or is it just an incredibly advanced echo, reflecting the human data it was trained on back at us? We just don't know.
Okay, now look at this image. I mean, just take it in. It's detailed, it's evocative, and it wasn't made by a human artist. An AI generated this from nothing more than a text prompt. The skill is just undeniable. But hold on, because here comes the twist.
Get this, under current US law, this image can't be copyrighted. Why? Because it doesn't have a human author. The legal system itself has basically said that without a human being's creative spark and intention behind it, true authorship just doesn't happen. It's a fascinating line in the sand. And this throws us into a huge philosophical debate. Is what we call creativity just a really, really complex form of recombination, something a machine can totally master? Or is there something more? Does true creativity need that spark of consciousness, of emotion, of messy, real lived experience? Things that these AI models just don't have. Okay, so we're not sure about control, and we're not sure about consciousness. So how in the world are we supposed to manage AI's growing role in our society? Well, that's our third big question, the massive challenge of algorithmic governance.
When you try to regulate this stuff, you immediately run into three things that are all pulling in different directions. First, you've got the tech companies who want to keep their code a secret. It's their intellectual property. Then you have us, regular people, who have a right to know why an algorithm denied us a loan or a job. And finally, you have the government, which is supposed to make sure everything is equitable and fair. And yeah, those three things, they do not always play nice together.
And what makes this even trickier is that fairness isn't just a math problem you can solve. There's this idea called the fairness multiplicity problem. Basically, there are lots of different ways to define fairness mathematically, and they often contradict each other. You could optimize for group parity, making sure different groups get equal outcomes. But doing that might be unfair to a specific individual. So deciding which definition of fair to code into the system, that's not a technical choice. That's a moral and political one.
So this leaves us with this fundamental tension, doesn't it? We have these black box algorithms owned by private companies making decisions that affect our lives, our opportunities, even our survival. Can we really have both commercial secrecy and the democratic transparency we need to hold these powerful systems accountable? That is a huge question.
Okay, let's get to our fourth and final question, and this one's all about the money. We're talking about AI's actual economic impact. Is this the dawn of a new age of prosperity for everyone, or is it just going to concentrate wealth at the top and leave a lot of people behind?
Now check out this number. A recent survey found that only 7% of people are worried about automation impacting their own job. It seems like most of us think, yeah, it's a thing, but it's not going to happen to me. It's a problem for someone else. But then you see this. More than 130,000 layoffs in the tech sector just this year. And you know it's being cited as a key reason? AI and the push for efficiency. So this isn't some far-off hypothetical problem. It is happening right now. There's a huge disconnect between what people think is happening and what's actually going on.
And this forces us to make a pretty fundamental choice about our economic future. It's a question of scale, really. Do we want an economy built around a handful of gigantic, centralized AI models controlled by a few big companies? Or do we want a future with millions of smaller, local AI systems that empowers small businesses and communities from the ground up?
And this is where it all comes together. All four of these questions, control, cognition, governance, economics, they aren't separate problems. They're all deeply interconnected. They bring us to this one monumental choice that we as a society have to face.
So let's just run it back one more time. How do we ensure we can control this thing? What does it actually mean for a machine to understand? How do we govern these systems fairly? And how do we make sure the prosperity that AI creates is shared by everyone, not just a few?
At the end of the day, these aren't just technical problems for engineers to solve in a lab. They're moral choices. They're ethical choices. The question isn't what AI is going to become. The real question, the most important unanswered question, is what we will choose for it to be.